Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and today I wanted to take a look at and discuss the boss fight. So I had hit 40 a day ago, and I decided to take an attempt on the tier 6 with my team that I built out, and I was able to successfully beat tier 6, where you have to have two teams, or you have to fight the same boss that you've been fighting through 1 through 5, and then they throw on a new boss at the end that has a little bit different mechanics to it. It's quite difficult. The biggest thing is you have to field two different teams, and with that you're not able to take Suomi into both of them, so you're kind of having to make do with whatever other healers you have. And so I thought I would kind of just react to me beating it, and kind of discussing why I picked the team I did and why I was making decisions I did in the fight. Now, the fight was far from perfect. I know I made plenty of mistakes. I ended up beating it, but it could have probably been done a little bit easier if I wouldn't have made some of the mistakes in it, but I kind of just rolled with them as it was going. I was prepared to rewind if I would have lost, and I should have been able to beat it a little easier if I would have corrected the mistakes, but it should get you a good idea of what you need to actually beat this boss. And so we'll kind of take a look at my units that I used first and kind of how I have them built. Now, mine are going to be probably a lot better built than what most people have, just because I have put in a lot into the game, so I actually got pretty lucky on some of the stuff I have as well, but it is very beatable without having everything I have. So the first thing is I did the first fight with Suomi, Tololo, Mosin Nagant, and I think Graza, I believe. That one I'm not going to go through. It's the same fight you've done on all the others. You have Suomi there, and with Suomi there, she just, I mean, it's easy because she's just making it where you can tank and heal at the same time there. So no real big issues on that first fight with Suomi. It's the second fight where I'm having to really deal with a lack of a massive shield slash very good AoE heals. And so the team I used was Janju, Sharkry, Krolik, and Kesnia. So the main thing is bringing in Janju and Sharkry to be like the hard DPS to do a massive amount of damage. Krolik's there to so this boss has a mechanic where you have to go into this one area and do a little task. Krolik is able to easily do it and get out fairly easily, and so I brought her for that. And then she also applies Overburn, which can trigger Sharkly doing her follow-up, which then has Janju do her own follow-up. And so she's just key on that part of the Overburn side of things. And then I brought Kesni in as my healer to kind of make it where we can survive a little bit longer than you would without one. It worked to an extent, but her lack of being able to really heal everybody really hurts you, and you'll see that towards the end, where I pretty much barely win, but she is able to get you across on there. And so when you look at what I have, I just have Kesnia with simple pistol here. I just threw on whatever attachments I had because I hadn't really done any farming at all. These are all just from running the other game mode. So most of the attachments on the pistol were coming from what I got in peak value assessment, so nothing really crazy there helping out. But on my Janju, I got a Golden Melody. So the Golden Melody attachments, and nothing too crazy here, but I do have attack and crit on there on a lot of stuff, so attack and crit. And you can kind of get some of these stats just with the normal farming that you've done. If you've done any at all for the weapons, you'll want to have attachments. You're not going to be able to do this without any attachments at all. So just the main thing you want to get is just like your basic attacks and maybe some crit and crit damage on there, but nothing too crazy. Sharkry is kind of the same situation. I do have a Golden Melody for her as well, because I did pull for Suomi's weapon and lost to 75-25 and ended up getting another Golden Melody. So I do have that. That is one little extra bump that I have on my team, but it's not completely needed. If you just have a little bit, if you make less mistakes than I did, you should be able to do it without having this weapon. It's kind of what carried me through my mistakes. But then just same thing, nothing crazy on there. I think hers are worse because my Janju has the better ones, but there's some attack and crit on there. And then when it came to the neural helixes as well, Janju and Sharkry are the ones that I took all the way to the end so I could get the common keys. And I did that because DPS is the most important for this fight. You just need to be able to burn him down because you're not going to be able to out heal the damage he's doing with just Kesnia. So I got hers, and then I put them both on Janju. And then I had a couple other common keys from other things, I believe. yeah, I just have some other ones that we got from other content. I think like the event, and I think from the dormitory when you raise affection, you can get some through that. So I just have some basic ones on them. And then when it comes to the healer, she has no common keys because I was basically out. And I can put a fix. I forgot to put a fixed key on her. One of them, but you can put 3 fixed keys on her. The best ones for her. Nothing crazy with it. Don't believe, and the attachments are just some random jumble of attachments. And then Krolik was, so I got her fixed keys. The big ones on her being increased damage when hitting a single target. The boss is a single target, so that one's important. If there are no other allied units within 3 tiles, increases damage. When you're in the 1 challenge area, you're going to need that because you're not going to be near your teammates when you're doing it, so that one's important. And reducing the confectance index cost. So I haven't pushed all the way through all of hers, and so, I mean, those are the 3 I picked up on her. And then hers is just her basic sword. The nice thing is the trait. If for every 3 kills caused by an active attack, gain 1 instance of extra action. This is actually really important in this fight, so having her sword will be needed to do what I kind of did at the beginning that you'll see here in a second. But that is my team. There's nothing too crazy on it, except that I do have the 2 golden melodies there. But let's go ahead and I'll pull up the video and I'll kind of explain what I was doing as we go through it. Alright, I have the video up here. Now, I did this on my live stream yesterday, so if you actually wanted to see this fight as I'm like talking as I'm doing it, you can go to my live stream they did last night. So I have it muted, so you won't actually hear any of the talking or any of that. So there's parts where I'm talking to the chat, so I might be stopped for a second, but we'll kind of explain what I'm doing here as we go through it. So the first thing on the setup is I'd already tried it a couple times at this point, so it's kind of figuring out their positioning and where they best would go. And the main thing was I needed to have Krolik here for positioning to be able to complete the task that it starts you with right at the back, because I wanted to just knock it out immediately so that I could get her right back into the fight, because that her overburn is going to be important to start trigger Sharkry and do her action support. So the big part of that mechanic is you have to go into this teleport in this area. It'll teleport you over to this little cage area. And when you get here, it has a task that they have to do to be able to escape. So the first thing is you have to do the task, and then you have to get to this end where you see those squares up there. It escapes, and it'll put you right back behind this box on the outside. And so this one that it tasked me with at the beginning was, so you'll need to eliminate 3 or more enemy units and reach the evacuation zone within 1 out of 3 turns. The ultimatum eliminated 1 out of 3. And so I just go in here. The reason I have Krolik is I'm going to be able to get all the way up here. If you have her back on one of these tiles on the behind them, you'll only be able to get to right here, and you won't be able to kill these enemies here. And so you'll get up to here, and I just used her AoE attack, which I clicked the wrong one at first, but then you use that. So that's going to clear the condition immediately with killing 3 of them. And then you have to remember her sword, when you kill 3 units, gives her an extra turn. So I'm going to do that. Kills 3 of them. And then here's where I got confused at first. I was like, okay, and I need to get out of here. And so I moved, the enemy's blocking my way, so I can't just walk up there, and it's kind of like, oh crap, what do I do on this spot? And sometimes I think the positioning of these enemies can be different, so that you may be able to actually clear it, because I don't think every design is exactly the same, so it might be slightly different for you. But the easiest way to do it is after you kill the 3, it takes me a second here, I think, to figure it out, but you have to end action first, because I'm not realizing what's happening here. I'm able to move, but I have to end her action. And then as soon as I do that, then it gives me my next turn with her. And when I get there, I'm going to kind of move it forward here. I go up next to him, and then I use her ultimate to bypass him to get onto the things. Just going to take a second. Like I said, I'm doing this live, so I'm having to actually think about what I'm doing here. So I go, okay, use the ultimate, blow through him, gets there, gets her right on there. Then I can end her turn, and then she'll be ready to go on the next turn, already outside, having completed this. So that was a pretty big thing. So she's ready to go right there. Now I got to get these people positioned. It's just your standard support action. Just trying to get them set up to do that. And so There's a lot of thinking in this, so it's not like I did this perfectly. This isn't like a replay of the battle, because you don't have that, at least that I know of, like we have in Sword of Convallaria. So I just kind of get him up, get her in position. I shot with, I think, her second attack. I go in, do her ultimate, so she gets zoom in. And some of this may not be the best positioning, the most efficient way to do it. So that's ways that you can improve on this. So I do her so she can counter, then Jeonju, and this is basically all I do with these three, is just trying to get all those action supports. Keznia is here just to kind of do a little bit of healing to kind of try and make it work. So I get her up there, and then I'm going to use her ultimate, which is going to then trigger Jeonju. And her one ability, actually, I think I use her number 2, I believe, here, because then it triggers both Sharkly and Jeonju, and does her own attack. And that's basically what I'm thinking about here. I'm trying to see what's the best decision, looking at everything on the skills. Because even though I've gone over everything, I mean, you always want to I always like to reread them to make sure I know what it's doing. So then I can do that. Then she can come in, and then Jeonju comes in. And at this point, he's almost broken. And that's kind of a big thing with this boss. It's just like the first one, is you're always needing to try and... They don't take as much damage when they're not broken, even though they're kind of exposed out in the open. So this guy, I'm pretty sure I just kind of ignored him. He might become a problem if you don't kill the enemy quick enough, but I wanted to just knock him down as quickly as I could. So at this point, I'm trying to think of where I want to put my people. Now I have Krolik available, and so I'm getting her positioned to be able to counterattack him after Krolik does her overburn on him. I just come in. I'm like thinking at this point, I believe, on what I want to do. So she attacks, Jeonju attacks, so I'm good there. On her, I cast her ultimate. That's going to put that thermal recovery on her. I kind of got lucky here. I mean, if you call it lucky, I don't know if it actually helps, but her ultimate puts, you can't see it in the corner, but it puts the thermal recovery where when someone targets, they will recover 30% health. So it's a way she can self-heal with her ultimate while also doing damage. And since she's the one that took damage, I used that on it. And it lets me do another attack on the boss. Oh, but I guess I didn't do it yet at this point. I instead went with Krolik first. And with Krolik, I just came up and did her ultimate so I can go right through him, get her under cover here. And then with the overburn, it's going to cause Sharkly to counter. And now I'm wondering here if it was so I'm kind of checking my surroundings here. And I think one of the mistakes I may have made here is I don't believe, Jeonju does not counter when you do her ultimate, but she will, I believe, with her single target attack one. So I may have been better off not doing the ultimate. Oh no, okay, she countered there. I couldn't remember. But one of her attacks, I think the AoE she won't counter with. And you don't want to use that attack for sure. And then here, it's just the same thing, trying to get everybody to attack and get all the counters going, knocking as much of his health down as we can. And then, and I think a mistake I made here. Yeah, there was one mistake here. I probably should have with her. I think I was looking for a way to do as much damage as I could. It may have been better at the beginning if instead of doing her last, using her ultimate so she does more support attack damage. But at this point, so I could always rewind to do that. For this case, I was trying to think of, what do? I can't kill the boar. And so I just said, okay, screw it. I'm going to take her out of, I believe here's where I take her just out of cover, because I want to hit this guy with I want to hit her with this attack, the second skill. Because that second skill for Jeonju will trigger Sharkly to do her counter as well. And so she's going to be exposed here. So I'm kind of looking here at what his attacks are going to be. And actually, I could probably skip ahead a little bit here. Just trying to see what's going to get hit. Because the big thing is, if they're all next to each other and he does his AoE, we're screwed, because I have no healing at all to really deal with it. And kind of skip ahead. I think ultimately I decided to throw her just out in the open here, where the boar wouldn't be able to get her, I believe. Kind of go ahead. Yeah, I did a lot of checking. Yeah, so I decided to go here. Not the best positioning. She might have been, like, at the beginning of the game, I probably could have positioned her a little better. I just threw her out in the open. I was like, I got to go for it. I did not want them all next to each other, so this was the better option. So I hit him with that. Sharkly counters. And then turn ends. She got hit with that. She's gonna die here like very soon. There's the AoE. So not having her next to them helped me there because the AoE would have hurt Jeanju there. And then I think, yeah, the boar came over, attacked Krolik. So she actually was very good being in this positioning because it brought him away from the others. So she's kind of being a sacrifice right now to draw the attention away from the others. But this did give me the opportunity to pull another attack off here. And so I'm looking at everything the boss is going to do on this turn. That's really key on these bosses, is just seeing they're going to do these attacks in this order. And some of them will tell you exactly who they're going to hit. Like it might say farthest enemy, closest enemy. And so you can position your people so specific ones get attacked. And so that's kind of why you want to look at that. So in her case, I just kind of wanted to go in, hit with attack. This is going to trigger, just get some triggers from Jeanju, Sharkly. And I mean, that's just the key in this, just non-stop support actions on this boss. So she counters, she hits, Sharkly hits, Jeanju hits, and then she teleported back here. She redid another counter from the other overburn, so Sharkly's done her 2 counters already. I get Jeanju, I'm thinking about where to place her. I'm like, okay, I need to get her under cover now. I bring her here, just do her fire attack. Then on her, and I think that's another mistake I made. I could have moved her into position first and did that before I did Krolik's attack, because she would have done more damage. So that was a little bit of missed out damage there. It was just attacking in the wrong order with the units. And so that was something where I could have, and I think that was where I was going to rewind to if I did not beat him, because you'll see here, it gets really sketchy at this point, but I get super close and I'm just like, crap, I screwed up. Let's just see what I can do. And just attack with that, get a counter, but it's like I'm getting him really close at this point. And then this turn, so this point, I'm pretty sure Krolik is going to die. But it's good because she's basically asked, she was there to draw the attention of the enemies. Now, another challenge came down here. There's another challenge, and if I wasn't able to kill him quick enough, the challenge would have basically finished me off if you don't get this done. But I completely ignored it. My goal at this point was just to kill him, get him dead. So by having him up there, that kind of was a saving grace, because he wasn't able to get close enough. Now I'm about to have another enemy spawn here, and this is where it's getting really sketchy, because I lost Krolik and Keznia here, so I only have Jeanju and Sharkly. Luckily, they're my 2 main DPSs, so I'm like, oh, maybe we can pull this off. And I was looking at the challenge points, because you only need to get 57,000. I believe you have to kill him, though, to get the 57,000. I don't think you can get the 57,000 without killing him. So I just go here. I'm like, screw it. Throw it out there. Get that attack in there. And this was so I could make sure the boar died as well. So now this one might have been, I could have maybe not went for the boar, because it does 30% less damage if it goes through an enemy when you use her second skill. And so maybe I could have pumped out a little bit more damage by not doing this. I just wanted to get the boar out of the way there. And then she counters. Then she's going to attack with hers. I'm going to get a double counter from her and her after this one. And yeah, I'm talking to chat a lot in this. That's why I'm doing certain things and why it takes a little bit. But then I did that. And she attacks, and then it's their turn. So I get lucky here because he doesn't really do much here. He does the AoE that puts down the lava. So everyone kept alive. He just spawned in here, so now I'm at risk from him. But I have his health so low at this point, I'm just like, throw everything I've got at him, try and take him out. And so I go with her second attack here. I think at this point, I'm thinking of where to keep her. And at this point, I'm like, cover is not going to help me because he'll just come around and hit him. I believe I decided to just stay put. I'm not sure. I'm doing a lot of talking with chat at this point, but okay, then I attack. Oh, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Just keep shooting, get them all doing their support attacks. That's basically all I'm doing here. I didn't move her. I probably could have moved her. I was thinking I was going to have to rewind at this point. But as you can see here, I'm like, all right, I've got him. I've got Lucky. I just got to shoot with her. And he's still alive with like no health, but he's still alive. And he kills Sharky right here, I believe. But then as soon as he moves, he does that, takes burn damage, dead. He died from the burn damage at the end, and that is how I built him. Now, as you can see, I made plenty of mistakes there, but so there's a lot of ways that you can improve on that fight to be able to beat this without having all the gear I had. But that is just how I did it. Now, I've seen the same exact team from another video where they were only level 38, and they did it with vet play instead of Krolik. You basically just need somebody that can go into that one area and clear that first challenge. And so if they can clear that first challenge and get out of there very quickly, that's the main thing you need. That was the main thing with Krolik. I wanted Krolik because she had that overburn that triggered the counterattack by Sharky. But yeah, that was the guild boss there. Or not guild boss, but the boss fight. And then coming back into the game here, once you beat him, you go to the next one. For anyone that is worried about going to the next tier after you beat it, knowing that like I struggled with the tier 6, tier 7 is going to be even harder. Even if you are not able to beat the next tier, once you complete it, like even though you die and you don't finish it, you are guaranteed to get the same amount of tickets that you got in the previous tier. So there's absolutely no reason not to jump to the next tier in this. You should always upgrade, never just keep doing the same difficulty. And so when you do get to the next one, though, it is the exact same fights. So the first one that you did all the others, but now they're level 45. And then the second one, the one that I just showed, is now level 50. And so I'm hoping maybe I can beat this by the end of next week once I've leveled up a little bit more, got some more common keys potentially, as well as finishing off the neural helix on the remainder of my units. Because one thing that everybody's going to have issues with once they hit 40 is, one, you're going to have resource issues, just leveling everything up to 40. But then also the neural helix, I only was able to complete it on Jeonju and Sharky. Even Suomi, I didn't finish hers off yet because it was more important for me to get that damage for that second fight versus getting my Suomi a little bit better. But she's the next one I'm targeting, and I didn't show the first fight because that one I brought Suomi in, and that one's just a cakewalk. You just use your off team with Suomi to keep him alive, and that first one's not an issue at all. But yeah, that was that fight. I just thought I'd kind of show how I did it on video if someone wanted to kind of see how it's possible. Now, I had to get to level 40. I tried it when I was level 39, and the DPS just was not there, and I wasn't willing to just keep trying to grind it to get it perfect. But it wasn't too bad at level 40. I know if I wouldn't have got it that time, I would have just tried it a couple more times. I was eventually going to get it. It was just making the right decisions, and I had plenty of mistakes that I did in there, and it still worked out. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, or subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.